The pad you discovered on Gul Kardek revealed the location of a secret facility in the Alpha Quadrant. There appears to be some kind of alliance between the True Way and the Dominion. We cannot allow them to join forces.
I'll get right on that. This mission takes off immediately after the last part. After we returned from our exertion into the mirror universe, the Cardassian True Way operative, Kardek, that we'd been chasing down, was revealed to be a changeling. The shape-shifting alien race has long been at the head of the Dominion, which has begun to resurface. This is dire news. Last time the Dominion began to operate in force in the Alpha Quadrant, it marked the beginning of the biggest loss of life that the Federation had seen since the 2256 Klingon War and subsequent Cold War tensions. In 2398, there were rumours of changelings arriving back in the Alpha Quadrant. However, almost a decade ago, the Dominion denied any active operations left in the Alpha Quadrant, saying that any changelings encountered were operating beyond their influence. Could there be a link between the two powers, as it appears, the Cardassians and the Dominion? Or is there more going on than we can see? We set a course for this discovered facility with the goal of obtaining answers. As usual, Starfleet is a step behind events. We warp into the Devos System and Tarsi detects both Cardassian and Dominion signatures. We can take the opportunity to review the evidence that brought us here, the encoded message on Kardek's pad.
From Gul Kardek to Gul Palat, I have run into some complications. Namely, some agents have interfered with my plans. They have stolen the Orb of Possibilities. I assume they have returned it to the Bajorans by now. Fortunately, the anomaly remains stable. I was able to retreat to the mirror universe where I have taken shelter with my Terran allies. However, I believe they are waiting for my return. Therefore, I need you to meet with Dumatsu Khan at the facility in the Devos System in my stead. Coordinates are attached.
So we'll need to keep an eye out for a Dumatsu Khan and a Gul Palat. The Devos System seems full of rocks like small islands in this expansive blue. The dust amid the stones creates a mist, diffusing the light from Devos' pale sun. As we cross this pale lagoon and draw closer to the facility, 2 Hideki scouts and a jem'hadar attack ship alter course to cut us off. We destroy the jem'hadar first, its craft outpacing its True Way allies to its detriment. The 2 Hideki-class ships continue on their course, closing the distance to increase their accuracy, but another falls before reaching the Armiger. Rocked by the explosion, we turn to keep the smaller vessel in our sights. Darting overhead, the smaller vessel evades our torpedo shots, but succumbs to our phaser arrays. Interestingly, Devos 2 has had a history with the Dominion, originally being constructed by the Sonar, who supplied the jem'hadar with their KETRACEL White. Resuming our progress to the facility's supposed location, it's not long before we encounter another threat, this one a Gaylor-class cruiser. The firefight begins with an exchange of torpedoes, which serves to take out the 4 shields of both ships. The Armiger and this craft seem evenly matched. Diverting power to the engines for evasive manoeuvres, we use the age-old trick of breaking their line of sight to allow us time to repair and restore shields. But every second we get, they get to do the same, so we can't hide here long. Emerging from our cover, weapons blazing, we turn our attention back to the True Way. A single torpedo finds its way through their shields as our phaser fire keeps them from reinitializing. It strikes something critical and the Cardassian vessel explodes. We're almost there, but it seems a new combatant has entered the fray. A jem'hadar battleship equipped with Polaron weaponry and quantum torpedoes. This isn't even the most powerful vessel the jem'hadar possess. From a distance we exchange fire. The larger ship isn't as manoeuvrable as us, so we might be able to get in close and run rings around them. However, getting close is easier said than done, as they have a modified tractor beam that can force us back at an incredible distance. We're pushed back all the way to the rings of Devos 2, where we have to re-engage our evasive manoeuvres to supply us with enough speed to close the distance before they restore their damaged hull. Time for round 2. Knockout. Now, with all the system's defences down, we can approach the facility. Performing a scan of it, we can discern multiple jem'hadar life signs. So those weren't just Dominion ships in True-Way hands, they really were jem'hadar. We're also detecting large quantities of uridium bicantazine, a chemical used in the manufacturing of KETRACEL white. KETRACEL white was an isogenic enzyme and nutrient formula that was required for the jem'hadar to survive. They were genetically engineered to lack the substance themselves, being wholly reliant on the Dominion to provide them with the compound, the Dominion thus creating an inescapable system of control over their soldiers. Barbaric. This facility looks weathered, the surface is besmirched with age, almost like mould growing in the crevices. We best get a move on and beam down. Who knows if those ships were alone. We beam in unobserved into a spacious cavern above the facility. Below us we detect the vital signs of numerous jem'hadar and Cardassians, and by numerous, I mean a lot. Good job this cavern is atmospherically sealed. Gazing down we can see the large tanks and the floor of the KETRACEL factory. Breaking out the rappel gear, we descend into the facility. Wow, okay, my team just teleports ahead of me. If we were going to use the transporters, then why didn't it just be me down there as well? Fine. From our vantage point, we can observe guard patrols, as well as what appears to be several individuals engaged in maintenance of the heavy machinery. Raw materials are shipped further on a conveyor system, and the hum of industry can be heard throughout. Only one way to go. Strolling around these vats of white, we come across a squad of 5 jem'hadar soldiers. Upon engaging them, several of the guards cloak, or as the jem'hadar call it, shroud. This ability is tied to their consumption of the white and seems to be partially technological and biological in function. From their shrouded state, they become untargetable and can land bonus damage when they strike. We push on down the stairs. No sounds of an alarm yet. I guess the background hum obscured the sounds of our scuffle. The next squad was as unprepared as the first one we ambushed. The soldiers charge us at the top of the stairs, but it was over before it began. I should have told them not to try it. I have the high ground. The conveyors pass overhead, ferrying the raw KETRACEL ingredients out of our reach. Shame we can't just hitch a ride. The purple burnished metals is a hallmark style of the Dominion structures, and this one we'll have to destroy. Finding a likely spot, we arm the first spatial charge just as more jem'hadar arrive behind us. They get the drop on our away team, but we're soon able to fend them off. Once clear, Tarsis' scan of the next room reveals the presence of a single Vorta life sign. The Vorta, along with the jem'hadar, were genetically modified by the Dominion's founders to serve the organisation. Whereas the jem'hadar were created to be an obedient military, the Vorta are very much the diplomats, the busybodies, and they keep the wheels turning. It's likely that the Vorta here is the leader of this rogue element of the Dominion. We fight our way through his entourage of soldiers. The jem'hadar aren't too tough when we concentrate our fire, which happens quite often when half of the soldiers shroud themselves, removing them as targets altogether. Thinking the firefight is over, we help ourselves to the spoils when Hale is sent flying by an explosion. It seems like some form of mine, perhaps? Strange, I didn't see anything. Keeping an eye out, we rig our second spatial charge, and right on cue, jem'hadar reinforcements burst in from behind. Fortunately, we're able to keep them contained in the doorway for the most part, and the battle is over relatively quickly. One final cloak to jem'hadar gets surrounded by the entire crew, and I feel briefly sorry for him. Well, there's no other direction to proceed from here, so let's ascend the stairs to meet the Vorta, who stands with his back to us, nonchalantly ignoring us it seems. To his right, finalised KETRACEL white canisters are loaded into overflowing crates.
Greetings. I am very glad to meet you. I am Naaman, a Vorta scientist, and servant of the Founders and the Dominion, of course.
Well, Vorta do have a tendency to remain poised in difficult situations, but he's rather pleased to see us, isn't he?
Oh my, yes. I have a proposition to which I hope you shall be amenable. I serve a founder named Los. He is one of 100 founders sent here to the Alpha Quadrant. His actions have placed me in a bit of a moral conundrum that I hope you can help me unravel.
Oh, we get the opportunity to say that a Vorta with a moral conundrum? I didn't realise you had morals. But he is being amiable right now, so let's just ask him to elaborate.
Los was the first of these Alpha Quadrant founders to emerge. He located and gathered the others into a new Great Link. However, he has not seen fit to tell these founders that the war with the Dominion is over, and that the Great Link is alive and well in the Gamma Quadrant. Instead, he has convinced them that you solids exterminated the Great Link, and are attempting to exterminate these founders as well.
We'll examine what we know of Lars in a minute. For now, let's ask Neiman why he continues to serve the Changeling.
Several reasons. First, even if I do not agree with him, he is a god. Second, he is my only link to the other founders here. Finally, his jem'hadar are fanatically loyal and watch me constantly. Although you seem to have mitigated that issue.
Mitigated? How diplomatically put of you. So, how can you still be loyal to Lars and betray him at the same time?
Betrayal is such an ugly word. I prefer to think of our arrangement as a creative solution to a difficult problem. But semantics aside, I do not feel so much that I am betraying Los as liberating the other 98 founders and serving the Dominion and the founders. I do not believe they would want these Alpha Quadrant founders to be ignorant of the truth. I also fear that if Los continues his plans, it could result in the death of founders. The morphogenic virus still lives in the memory of the Dominion.
He doesn't like the term betrayed either. Oh, we have quite the enlightened individual here. The morphogenic virus of which Neiman speaks was an artificial disease created by Section 31 and introduced into the Founders to kill them. Offering the cure was one of the core reasons for the Treaty of Bajor and the close of the Dominion War. Tell me, Neiman, what do you actually do here?
My job is to supervise the KETRACEL white production. While the jem'hadar are mighty warriors, they are not the greatest scientists, nor do we wish them to have the secret of KETRACEL white production.
Oh, of course, yes, you can't risk the jem'hadar having the freedom to choose to fight for the Dominion. What's this deal you have in mind?
Los keeps me away from the new link. They have been raised on his deceits, and so will be utterly convinced that you are attempting to exterminate them. I believe we can help each other. You can free me and take me to the new link, where I can explain to the Founders the truth, that the Dominion still exists, and that you are not hunting them to extinction.
Take you to the new link, and what is the catch? Because there's gonna be one.
Oh, I do not like the word catch.
Oh,
It sounds so mercenary.
Uh-huh.
But yes, my price is Loss's life. After I reveal the truth to the new link, you must allow them to mete out their justice. I cannot jeopardize the life of a Founder under any circumstances.
Well, that's not much of a catch. Honestly, we're not at war with the Dominion at the moment, so it's completely rational to allow the Founders to judge their own. I don't like this Neiman. He keeps dancing around the dirty nature of conflict, prettying it up with tidy words.
I'll be glad to get out of here. These Alpha jem'hadar don't understand the proper respect owed to a Vorta.
Do you have to stand so close? Just a thought, we should probably not mention the captured changeling we have back on our ship then. So Lars is a changeling dispatched to the Alpha Quadrant many years ago by the Dominion's founders to learn of the wider galaxy. Along with 99 others, they were eventually found, and some, like Constable Odo of Deep Space Nine, integrated into society. It seems that Lars has reunited the other 98 to form his own new link. Based it here in the Alpha Quadrant and recruited the Alpha jem'hadar to protect them, along with the Cardassian True Way.
Intruders! I'll put up a force field. You dump the data!
These two high-ranking officers scramble, and they're not named, but they're likely to be Gul Kardek and Dumat Zukhan, as mentioned in Kardak's messages.
We've got to stop the first before he deletes all the data.
Alright then, we're fighting our way through the guard while Neiman cowers in a corner somewhere. Just don't get in the way. We secure the area and drop the force field, separating the first from us. Without a word, he and the Gul interrogator charge us, and we begin focusing down the True Way operative. A grenade blast destabilizes him, and then a shot from Hale's rifle takes him down. The jem'hadar is a tougher opponent, larger and far more sturdy than his soldiers.
Excellent. I shall retrieve the coordinates.
He's talking as if we're working for him. Well, Neiman is free to retrieve whatever intel he can. He is more familiar with the systems after all. We're just gonna take our time setting up more explosives. But then fire from my away team reveals the presence of more jem'hadar. They must have moved in under cloak. What ensures now is a prolonged firefight against waves of jem'hadar as they move in while we defend Neiman as he recovers and downloads as much of the data as he can. The jem'hadar are vicious, determined and relentless, though like our Vorta acquaintance here, they are bred to show deference to any changeling and believe that they may be gods. But these are Alpha jem'hadar, so called as they originate from our local Alpha Quadrant, unlike the Dominion's native Gamma Quadrant, and they are more independent and have a higher degree of free will. I'm going to try not to think about that while I pelt them with grenades. Every so often we get a brief respite to collect the fallen loot and heal ourselves up before the next assault continues. Where was I? Oh yes, free will. So, Dumat Zukhan, who was the first of the Alpha Quadrant jem'hadar, actually refused the summons of the changeling Odo, who he saw as a fallen god. Rather than returning to the Gamma Quadrant with the majority of the Dominion forces, he remained with a small army. It must be these forces who the Cardassian True Way have established ties with, and that we're in conflict with right now. The battle subsides, and we take the opportunity to talk to Neiman, who has finally finished his download.
I have the data. It will take some time to decrypt, but I recommend we depart as quickly as possible.
Oh, do you now? You think we should leave? I'm sorry, my liege. Would you like us to beam down a carriage for you, or will you be okay walking? let's just plant this final charge while I struggle to overcome the urge to negate our friend here. We return to the Armiger to push the big red button.
You are so quick to blow things up. Such a waste. That factory might have come in handy someday.
Neiman. No, too late. He ruined it. He ruined the moment. Sensors pick up incoming enemy signatures, 2 jem'hadar attack ships and a Hideki-class cruiser. Our overload-infused opening salvo is more than enough to punch through the shields of the charging attack cruiser. It doesn't take long for the True-Way vessel to succumb, leaving the final jem'hadar frigate for us to take down.
Angered the jem'hadar. Of course, they always seem a bit angry, don't you think?
A new wave of ships warps in, several jem'hadar fighters, 2 more attack ships, and a Gaylor class. Okay, things are getting a little bit more serious. We fly into the oncoming storm of disruptor fire like hailstones pelting a windscreen. Our shields weather the hits. A full spread of photons take out one of the smaller fighters, but that alone won't be enough against those larger ships. Instead, let's see if we can finish off the much smaller but weaker fighters. After a spree of destruction, we dispatched the Dominion's forces, leaving just the Gaylor class to deal with. The Armiger's rear shields fail, so we have to turn to face our pursuer. Charging it head on, the Gaylor unleashes everything it has, and although we break through its shields, its salvo cripples the Armiger, roasting our hull and ripping out bulkheads. We barely survive the exchange. Fires billow into space as we vent atmosphere. Issuing commands to brace for impact, the True-Way vessel careers past us, but we're finally able to get some distance and enact repairs. Every second we get to heal though, our enemy gets the same, and I don't want to waste what little progress we've made against them. At only 50% strength, we take the Armiger back against our opponent and channel everything into the forward shields and weapons, hoping it'll be enough. That was a tough fight. On its own, the Armiger outclasses the Gaylor-class starship, but constant peppering of our shields from all angles by the Dominion had us hemorrhaging integrity.
I have completed the decryption of the data we recovered. The new...
I unceremoniously and accidentally cut him off in order to enact repairs to the Armiger. Okay, now we're not in danger of being flushed into space by a collapsing bulkhead. Now you can talk.
I have completed the decryption of the data we recovered. The new link appears to lie in the Orias system. I have transferred the coordinates to your helm. I want to thank you for your service to the Dominion. I also want to remind you of our agreement, namely that Loss, or any other founder for that matter, is not to be killed by you.
Oh, don't worry. Changelings are hardy creatures. I'll just stun him around a little bit. Oh, don't give me that look. The Federation's not in the habit of killing unarmed emissaries. So, our next course of action is to bring our Vorta acquaintance to Luz in the Devos System. It seems that the Alpha Quadrant jem'hadar are acting against the Federation on orders of the new Link, who have been told by Luz that the Dominion War never truly ended. Their isolationist nature and mistrust of non-changeling life that is beyond their control, us solids, supports this mentality. Lars must have them so wrapped up in paranoia that they're avoiding all diplomatic contact with the Federation that would end this squabble. But what could be his reasoning for this divide? Well, the Cardassian involvement is seemingly out of convenience. The True Way was looking for allies against the Federation, and they were once allied to the jem'hadar before, so the old guard of the True Way seems to want to do so again, though looking back at history paints a grim outcome of their initial alliance.
Congratulations on destroying the facility. That should cripple the Alpha jem'hadar for the time being. But we need to make contact with this new Link. Hopefully Naaman can convince them of the truth before it's too late. Keep a close eye on him. We may have a treaty with the Dominion, but that doesn't mean I trust them. Vorta's first loyalty will always be to the Founders.
Sarish agrees with our assessment of Naaman. The Vorta are generally a devious species apt in misdirection, and despite appearances, are willing to make great sacrifices for the greater good, or their greater gods in this case. We can collect our reward now, a single item from a selection of Polaron weapons or a career-specific crate, and make our way back to Deep Space Nine for repairs. When that's said and done, we can head out for the continuing missions of the USS Armiger in the ever-expanding narrative of Star Trek Online. And I hope you'll join me for the next part. I've been Rick. Thanks again, and goodbye.